Small thing. Sorry, I just woke up. I feel like this Tyson fight was kind of tough. I mean, it wasn't tough. It was. I mean, I guess it was kind of as many of us kind of thought in the background. Like, is this really gonna be really hot like that? Like, we kind of again we had our nostalgia glasses on, and we was like, oh, okay, you know, obviously, he's fighting a legend. And the thing is, it's almost like we're viewing him from the perspective of who he was known for, what he's known for, instead of viewing him from the perspective that he is now. Now, don't get me wrong, the guy can hang with a regular average Joe, and don't get me wrong, I don't really know what position Jake Paul is in, but I don't. I'm having a hard time kind of figuring out like the fight was kind of underwhelming. Don't get me, and I think it's just because we have this perception, It's just like, oh, well, a fight can't really be like what seems to be exhibition. And so I make this comparison that Jake Paul kind of bowing out the last minute, even though you see Tyson still like in there, he's in the clink. He's just like, yo, I'm still trying to make it work, not so much to make it work, but it's like he's giving his A game, and Jay kind of just bowed out at the end, and I don't know, it's some small. I might be doing too much with this one, who knows, but I feel like I feel like people need to have understanding for people's pride, I can't say I fully know too much about my own culture. I've been in Wisconsin for like a slice of my life, and I'm down here, so take this for what you will. But I feel like black men have pride. They have a heavy emphasis on their pride, and like their ego is just again. I'm not trying to say this like a negative thing, but the ego matters, And so with Tyson, he's giving it his all, despite being in his late 50s, and it's great. I'm kind of, in my own way, I'm kind of glad they didn't go so hard. It's just, I mean, it wasn't really like it wasn't something that was guaranteed. It was like, oh, okay, yeah. I mean, again, the idea is that Jake Paul put the spotlight on other people, and ironically, this gives me a bit more respect for Jake Paul. But like, my point is just that like, um, Tyson was still in it, So when he bowed out, he was just like, "Hey, I appreciate you, Hey, you know." Or he was like, tried to give him a bow or something with the gloves, and say, "Hey, I'm good." At the very end, I don't know. I just found that just to be a little like a tiny bit disrespectful. This reminds me of when Macklemore kind of did that to Drake. I am tripping. Kendrick Lamar. So he did that to Kendrick Lamar, and I can see like, yo, this guy was really just he really was like sad about it. Like, Macklemore is really eating up about it, and for some reason, again, I know the reasons. Like they turned on him for an apology, and they're like, well, I mean, Kendrick wasn't gonna apologize if he won. It's like it's a pride thing. It's an ego thing. He's like, oh, well, like since we're both giving our A game, let's not just apologize, And the thing is that it's talking from two different places. At first, initially, I didn't understand, but like that ego thing, a man's pride really wants to say, hey, I did my best, you did your best, and you just won out, And we talk about, which is kind of, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's a topic for another day in terms of, how does the system come into effect with meritocracy? I mean, like you said, like is meritocracy a thing fully in America? I don't know, dog. But it's just I don't know. I just felt like he should have just respected Tyson, because when Tyson was in the fight, learn from that whole Customato, his way of kind of training him to use fear to kind of motivate him and stuff like that. So you know, you know, he was saying how he was scared throughout the entire fight. Then we finally get up there. He's like he feels like he could take on anything, you know. And despite those beliefs, you know, I mean, he was just, I don't know, gifted. You know, he's very gifted for a young person, you know. And since that didn't work out in his favor because he was an older man now, it's just he was in it. And I think it was still impressive for a near 60-year-old person to really hang with a 20-something-year-old. Like that is very good. That's, you know, I think I've kind of repeated myself for some other stuff, but yeah, black men got a lot of pride. I noticed again. I say this because it's my opinion about my own people, so that's me. But every time I know I'm gonna make a distinction of saying, "Hey, black people have this cultural thing." I always find it where we have a following of, "No, that's not just for black people. This is for everybody." It's like, okay, fine, you know, but when we hear about Japanese people having a lot of pride and things of that nature, we kind of give it to them, you know. It's like, oh, okay, I guess that's a cultural thing. So this is what I'm trying to do, you know. Black people have a lot of pride, you know. So it's like, they just don't like that pride because I feel like that's the only thing they have. They feel like they have, you know. And if you kind of play with it, then it's like a more of a offensive thing. And maybe it's the same thing of kind of like when you step on somebody's shoes, you know, they don't really, their pride is the last thing they got, and their shoes kind of is a reflection, kind of by extension, what that is, you know. It's like pride, you know, don't disrespect me, you know, this is all I got, you know. And if you know the history of what we got, you know, I feel like if you don't got a lot, you know, you gotta have pride. You gotta have some value in something. So with black people, black men particularly, it's their pride. You know, maybe for black women, it's their feeling of safety. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not a black woman. I couldn't really tell you what exactly that is. But yeah, this is my rambling. I think old men deserve pride, and in this particular position, I get it, but that was a little inappropriate, which just means people need to understand black people more. That's it. And you know, particularly black men, and I get it, in their uniquely, definitely black women. But in this instance, we need to understand black men more because we don't really get us. America doesn't understand black men for real.